What's up? 17.5 notes. Determinants. So still dealing with our matrices, but now we're going to talk about something that's called a determinant. Okay. It says every square matrix has a real number called a determinant. Remember, a square matrix means it has to be like a 2 by 2 or like a 3 by 3, 4 by 4. But those are the only two that we're going to be dealing with today. The way that you would write this, okay, so denote just means how you write it, is you'd say DET and then A, which would mean the determinant of A. Or if you see like straight up and down lines like that, that means determinant as well. All right, so it says the determinant of a 2 by 2 matrix is also called a second order determinant. To find the determinant of a 2 by 2 matrix, use this rule. So it says given this matrix right here, a 2 by 2, the way that you're going to do it, you're going to do A times D. So A times D minus, and then C times B. So you'll just kind of go diagonally. So you'll do A times D first, and then subtract C times D. So let's take a look right here. To find each determinant, we do it this way first. So let's see, negative 4 times negative 10 minus, and then we do it the other way like that, and you'll do 5 times 3. Negative 4 to negative 10 makes positive 40, and then 5 times 3 is 15. Subtract those, and you'll get that the determinant of this matrix is equal to 25. All right, let's keep on going. So this next one right here, negative 6 times negative 2 is going to give a positive 12, and then minus, and then we got this one right here, 11 times negative 3 is going to give you a negative 33. So now we got 12, a negative and a negative makes a positive, so plus 33. So our determinant is going to equal 45. All right. You're probably picking up how this works so far. If you want to pause and try this one on your own real quick, feel free to do so. I'm going to go ahead and do it right now. 5 times negative 9 is a negative 45, and then minus, and then we do it this other way, negative 5 and negative 7. You multiply those, and negative times a negative gives you a positive 35. So remember, we're still subtracting though, so minus 35. And when you combine those, you'll get that the determinant is equal to negative 80. Negative 80. All right, last one right here. Flying right through this, 2 times negative 8 is going to give you a negative 16 minus. And then if we do it the other way, 4 times 6, that's going to give you 24. So minus 24, and that gives you a negative 40. Our determinant is equal to negative 40 there. All right, so not too bad for the 2 by 2 matrices. The 3 by 3 can definitely get a little bit tougher. Make sure you're kind of controlling how much space you're using here. So it says the determinant of a 3 by 3 is called a third order determinant. To find the determinant of a 3 by 3 matrix, use the steps below. Rewrite the first two columns to the right of the matrix. So our first two columns are this one right here and this one right here, and we're just going to rewrite them off to the right. So this first one, I rewrite 3, negative 5, and 1. So I'm just taking this first column and moving it over here. And then I'm going to rewrite the second one as well. So negative 7, 4, and 5. All right. So we're still going to be working with diagonals, but it will get a little bit confusing. So we want to stay organized here. Okay. And so the first one we're going to do is the downward diagonals. So from here and there and there. So those three right there. And to help us stay organized, I'm going to write down, and these are for the downward diagonals, and I'll highlight that in the same color so you can kind of follow along here. Okay, so now instead of multiplying two numbers, you're going to multiply 3. So for this first one, we got 3 times 4 times negative 1, right? 3, 4, negative 1. When we do that, we get negative 12. Our next one, we do 7, negative 7, negative 5, and 1. And when you multiply those out, you're going to get a positive 35. And then the last row is 2, negative 5, and 5. 2, negative 5, and 5. And when you multiply those out, you'll get negative 50. So that's the sum, or the product of these three diagonals. Now what you're going to do is you're going to add all of these together. So I'll make a note, add these numbers together. So when I do negative 12 plus 35 minus 50, that's going to give us a negative 27. All right, so our downward sum is going to be negative 27. All right, now you're going to do something very similar. We're going to start down here in the bottom left, and we're going to go this way. All right, so I can make note right here. So now this is us going up. We got the upward diagonals. So the first one is 1, 4, and 2. Right, we got 1 right here, 4, and then 2. So we're going in that way. Now it's going to give us 8. So I can even kind of organize this a little better. The next one would be 5, negative 5, and 3. And that's going to give you negative 75. And then our last one is negative 1, negative 5, and negative 7, which gives you a negative 35. So when you add all these together, we can again just use a calculator. You're going to get negative 102. All right, negative 102. Now to put this all together, what you're going to do is you're going to take your downward diagonals, so that'd be negative 27, and then you're going to subtract the upward diagonals, just like we were doing up here above with the 2 by 2s. So if we're subtracting the negative 102, a negative and a negative makes a positive. And you're going to get 75 there. Sorry about the yelling. All right. So that's how we do that one. So again, downward diagonal is in green. You're going to multiply diagonally for all three of these, add those together, and then do the same thing going up. All right, let's try another one right here. So the first step is we're going to rewrite these first two columns to the right of the matrix. So 6, negative 1, negative 3, and then negative 3, 4, and negative 6. The next step is going to be multiplying diagonally. So we'll go down first. So here. So this first one we got, again, we'll organize this. We'll say down, highlight this, whoops. And it's 6 times 4 times negative 4. 6 times 4 times negative 4. And when you multiply that out, you'll get negative 96. The next one, you got negative 3, 2, and negative 3. You multiply those ones out, and you'll get 18, positive 18. And then the last one is 6, negative 1, and negative 6. And that's going to give you a positive 36, because there's two negatives in there. All right. So now we're going to add these together. So you got negative 96 plus 18 plus 36. And when you add those all together, it looks like we're going to get negative 42. All right, negative 42 for our downward diagonal here. All right, so now we're going to go with our upward diagonal. So we'll make a note up, and we can highlight these as well. So we're going to go negative 3, 4, 6, and then that one, and then that one there. All right, and that'll be our upwards. So let's take a look here. First one is going to be negative 3, 4, and 6. And if you can do this in your head, absolutely go ahead. But do be aware you're going to have to do this by hand on your test. The numbers will be fairly simple, but you should be able to multiply these things slowly but surely. So negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. Negative 12 times 6 gives you a negative 72. The next one, negative 6, 2, and 6. So we got negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. Times 6 is negative 72 again. And then our last one, negative 4, negative 1, and negative 3. Negative 4, negative 1 makes a positive 4 times a negative 3 gives us a negative 12. And when we combine all these, the numbers again will be smaller on your test. You'll get negative 156. So this is for our downward diagonal right here. All right. And then our last step is we're going to take our downward diagonal, so negative 42, and subtract our upward diagonals, which is negative 156. So a negative and a negative plus 156, and so that's going to give you 114 as your determinant there. All right, so what we got to remember here for the 2x2s, pretty simple, right? You're just going to go the downward diagonal minus your upward diagonal. Don't forget that subtraction. And then when we get down to the 3x3s, you need to rewrite the first two columns off to the right side here. And then you're going to go downward 3 rows, multiply those and add them together, and then do the same thing going up in the other direction. All right. If you need any help, let me know. I'm around.